morning. I'm Megan Edwards of Focus Communications, and today we're getting another update from Eskay Mining, which trades on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol ESK. Joining me today is Dr. Quinton Hennigh, Director and Technical Advisor at Eskay Mining. Quinton, it's great to have you on today. How are you doing?
Always a pleasure, Megan. Very well. Hope you the
Good.
same.
Good, absolutely. Quinton, to start things off, for those who are new to the company, can you give our listeners a brief overview of the company's Consolidated Eskay Project in the Golden Triangle?
Certainly. Look, it is probably the most cohesive block of ground. I will touch on disclaimer here real quick. This is part of our corporate deck, so you can access this on the website. But this map here shows the consolidated SK property, and it really is a cohesive block of ground, a very key part of ground in the Golden Triangle. It's right between the Eskay Creek mine, which you can see towards the top center, and then you have Brucejack and KSM, the Kerr Sulphurettes camp, down in the southeast there in the lower right. And this property has all the same geology that we see in our neighboring companies. This is basically the same hunting ground, if you will, for world-class deposits.
Now, before we talk about the upcoming exploration plans, could you briefly walk us through the company's 2024 prospecting and sampling program?
Yeah, certainly. Look, it was a very interesting year last year. The market's been tough. We conserved our money, but we did get out in the field and did some really interesting work prospecting an area in the south part of the property where I would say the coverage has been poor to date. In other words, we haven't done a lot of work, but we recognized that there was a very robust anomaly here from some work that was done a few years ago, stream sediment samples I'll talk about here in a minute. Anyway, we came into this area with very seasoned prospectors who have worked at Brucejack, have worked on other projects in the immediate neighborhood. And they came away with just an absolutely jaw-dropping suite of samples that they collected in the field. And these come from an area called C10 and Vermilion, also another area here I'll show you in a second. But these are basically all a cluster of extremely high-grade gold veins and other forms of gold-bearing deposits that occur in an area maybe associated with porphyry. We don't know. There is a copper signature to these, but extremely high grades of gold. You can see here many samples at an ounce per ton or above, and also in some samples, very high silver as well. Okay, so what is this? We don't know yet. Some people say this looks a lot like the high grade that's seen over at Brucejack, and there are elements of that. There's certainly geological comparisons that could be drawn between the two, but it also might be an epithermal system related to a porphyry system. That's another potential explanation for this style of mineralization. What do we want to do this year? Well, we want to get out and figure this out. This was a very short program. It was a productive program, but now that we've made this discovery, we really, really are anxious to follow up on it. You can see some of the rocks here. We've got just exquisite quartz carbonate veins with sulfides. Some of these carry decent copper and other elements that one would associate with, say, an intrusive related intrusion of some sort, metalliferous intrusion. These veins seem to permeate a very broad area. They're not just restricted vein here or there. These seem to be broad scale and cover a very broad area. These are the things that we're generating very high grades. You can see the sample, close up of the sample on the right-hand side there. That was a 205 gram per ton, 0.7% copper grab sample in the field. I mean, that's remarkable in this day and age that you can find such values.
Mm. And earlier this year, the company announced its 2025 plans for two targets, the TV zone and the C10 Vermilion Ted Morris trend. Can you give us an overview of this program and what makes these compelling targets for your next phase exploration?
Yeah, I'm actually going to start with the C10 Vermilion in this TM zone. The TM zone that you see here is another one of these high grade areas. It was found through prospecting by the same team last year. Again, extremely interesting numbers here. 136 gram gold, 100 gram per ton gold, 96 gram per ton gold. I mean, these are remarkable numbers for the first effort to prospect in this area. We are going to hit this pretty hard. We're going to follow up this year in 2025 with additional sampling and mapping. We're going to try to see if this style of mineralization is much more expansive than these immediate zones that we found. Even these zones, though, if you look at the scale, for example, in this TM zone, that scale bar, that's 100 meters. So that we already have an area here about 300 meters across from north to south that's grading multi-ounce in some cases gold. I mean, that's remarkable. We want to figure out what this is. Okay, will we sling a drill in there immediately and start drilling? No. The way I would see this likely unfolding is we go back in and we do more prospecting, because we don't even know at this point if what we found to date is the best of the best. Okay, we want to really get in there, map, sample, and better understand these targets or this general area, and see if we can't sharpshoot the highest grade, the most productive targets that are possible. Now, would we sling a drill in later this year? Sure. Late season, maybe in August, we could do like we did in 2020, where we brought a drill in towards the end of the season. We actually started testing targets that we had generated early in the summer. I'm excited about this. I want to see it move forward fairly quickly, but I also want to see us do good solid work to identify those targets. Now, this how do I categorize this one? This is in the south part of the property. Again, is it a porphyry related system? Is it a Bruce-Jack type system? Don't know yet. We want to figure that out. But the other one that we want to follow up on is the TV Jeff area, in particular TV. Okay, this map on the right hand side, it shows you where TV is located. It's central in the property package here, and it's a bit different than the targets I just mentioned. So this is not like C10 Vermilion. This is in the TM zone. This is a different style. It's a VMS related style, precious metal rich VMS, and it's more related to the Eskay Creek style of mineralization that we see in our neighbor to the north. Okay, one of the big unanswered questions at TV that really we left hanging after the last time we drilled here, which was 2 years ago, is where is the rest of the system? Okay, this sounds crazy, but at the south end of the TV system, we were hitting great results, wonderful long intercepts, nice mineralization, but we hit a dike, basically an intrusive dike. It was almost like a brick wall in a sense that cut off the system on the south side. We think, based on recent field work that we've done between TV and areas to the south, that there is more to the system down there. So we want to get in again, do field work early this season, and hopefully identify what will be targets to test the extension of TV. I think that's an important goal for us, as well as the C10 Vermilion TM zones that I talked about earlier. Okay, now this map also shows another really interesting aspect of the property. Okay, we did a BLEG sample, which is a stream sediment type sampling program in 2020 that really highlighted where we have our strongest anomalism. And you can see right away that there are areas like up in New York, for example, that need follow-up still further. I mean, those are great gold anomalies, the bright pink there. And then again, look at the size and scope of the BLEG anomaly in the south there at C10 Vermilion and TM. It is an absolute monster. I've done a lot of BLEG surveys across the planet. I've done surveys in almost every single major jurisdiction, gold jurisdiction, looking for gold deposits, and I have yet to see such a broad scale and strong BLEG anomaly. Many of the samples down there were in the hundreds of ppb, which is just extraordinary for BLEG work. In my view, there is a big gold system down there yet to be discovered. Is it another Bruce-Jack? I would love to think so. I hope it's something like that. Is it a porphyry related system? Possibly. That's also a good prize. Don't know yet, but we're gonna hit it hard this season. We're gonna try to figure this out.
Right. And one of the tools used in initially identifying your southern target area was your BLEG sampling program completed in 2020. For those unfamiliar, can you briefly explain the sampling method and what the results tell you about the southern area of the project?
Yeah, to be real clear about BLEG, it is a specialized stream sediment sampling protocol. So in this case, we are sampling the finest fraction of sediment in the creek. It's really the clay fraction of the sediment load in the creek bed. Okay, so what that means is we don't get particulate gold. Oftentimes, if you sample coarser fractions, you can get an occasional nugget or something like that that can kind of lead you on a wild goose chase. To be blunt, you can get these spiky values that make you think there's great potential, but then you go chase them down and you find out there's just nothing or a small vein or something.
Right.
In the case of BLEG, the reason it's so effective is that the fine grained sediment really gives you a strong signal, think of it that way, of the gold in that drainage, in that creek bed. Okay. And what I see in that southern area, given, let's see, one, two, three, four, five, five drainages that are all in the hundreds of ppb, that's a strong anomaly. Okay, that's a whopper of anomaly that usually points to a world-class gold deposit, discovery yet to be made.
Okay. Well, Quinton, to cap things off, could you quickly discuss what excites you about these targets for this next phase of exploration?
Yeah, I think we still are at an early stage at SK. Clearly, C10 Vermilion and this Ted Morris, the TM zone, have proven that we have a lot left to discover. I think that is probably the most exciting target that I see this year. I don't want to disparage or discount the TV extension as well, but I think this new very high grade system is right in line with what we've been targeting. I want to see us discover, a new world class high grade gold system right under everybody's nose here in what is a prolific world-class gold camp in the Golden Triangle. All right, so I think we've got a good year coming. Will we be aggressive? Sure, we got plenty of money to get out there, get some work going. We can drill later this year if we see targets that justify it. So I think there's that potential as well.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for the update, and we will be closely watching and look forward to having you back on the show again soon.
Thanks, Megan.